Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Welcome back, friends. Thank you for choosing to tune in today for this latest installment of unwatchable content. And today's video no one is gonna watch is Three-Eye Atlas, Alien or Asteroid. And at the time of recording, it is currently the 19th of December 2025. The day that Three-Eye Atlas is going to orbit closest to Earth as it has ever been in its existence since we were first notified that it had come or entered our solar system from outside of our own solar system. And this interstellar visitor has sparked a lot of debate and controversy since its emergence back in August of this year 2025, with scientist Avi Loeb convinced that it is not a natural asteroid, and we have on the other hand NASA saying it's a perfectly normal asteroid and nothing to see here. And literally there is nothing to see here anymore from NASA, because recently, just after it did capture some images of Three-Eye Atlas as it orbited Mars, the camera disappeared or went offline, and we are going to read an article about that. And in the weeks and months since this story first broke, within the last 10 days I believe, the European Space Agency have launched their very own asteroid redirection exercise, training drill. Drills sometimes do go live, as we do know from previous historical events. And it was last year, or possibly the year before, forgive me for my memory, but NASA themselves also relaunched a similar exercise drill in outer space, and it was called their DART mission, which stood for something about asteroid redirection task. That was basically what they did. They sent up a spaceship with the intent of redirecting a fictional asteroid. Now, did that NASA exercise, was it in actual fact a real live drill where they did send up a sort of a spaceship or a satellite with the attempts of redirecting an asteroid that failed? But they obviously launched it under the guise that it was actually a drill. And it wasn't long after that NASA launched that exercise to try to redirect an asteroid, very similar to the plot of the movie Armageddon or Deep Impact, or the original 1973 disaster movie Asteroid. I think it was 1973. Forgive me if I got the year wrong, it might have been 1975. But nevertheless, disaster movies in the 70s were very popular, and Asteroid was one of them, in which the world that was facing some sort of nuclear threat, World War III, was able to put aside their differences and use their nuclear arsenal in a desperate attempt to save Earth from an incoming asteroid. Spoiler alert, they managed to achieve it. In all three of those movies, the mission to redirect the asteroids were in fact successful. But have NASA failed in real life? And is this why we're seeing now the urgency for the European Space Agency to launch their very own asteroid redirect training exercise in outer space? Is this in fact going up to try and do something about Three-Eye Atlas, which as time of recording is as close to Earth as it has ever been? So it's not going to be a long one. Hopefully it's only going to be an hour long. And really and truly, I did want to sort of make a Three-Eye Atlas video and put it up on the day that it was closest to Earth, as it was 4 months ago on my sister channel NoOneWatchesArDee, which I don't really use anymore, and I don't know why I uploaded it on that channel instead of this one initially, but it was 4 months ago when I first heard of the story, and it was only being spoken about in a very couple of sort of obscurish tailor-made niche publications that this could possibly be a hostile alien threat. And at the time of recording that video, and within that video, I did mention this has all the seeds of developing into a full-blown psyop, and it has the ambiguity of going either the alien route or the asteroid route. So I want to hear what you guys have to think, what your thoughts of 3i Atlas is. Do you think it is an alien mothership? Do you think it is an asteroid? Do you think it is a psychological apparition? Or are you going with NASA and thinking it's just a perfectly normal comet, and comets are things that orbit Earth all the time? So with that being said, guys, let's go and dive into some articles and videos, and I'll see you on the flip side for the outro.
Tomorrow, an object that formed outside of our galaxy will pass close enough to Earth to see it in the night sky.
Pretty cool. Storm tracker meteorologist Alexis Clemens stopped by the Traworgy Planetarium in Mystic to find out more.
It's taken the astronomy community by storm. What is Comet 3i Atlas, and why is it so important?
It's exciting, right? The idea that something is coming from a direction we've never seen something coming from.
Comet 3i Atlas gets its name for being the third interstellar object ever discovered by the telescope ATLAS, which stands for Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System, and it's living up to its acronym.
Its purpose is to detect things well in advance and to determine whether or not they are on a collision course for Earth. We can confirm 100% that this object is in no way posing a threat to planet Earth.
It'll stay a very safe distance away, but as it's gotten closer and closer to Earth, we've been able to learn the chemical composition of the object.
It's got some ice water, water vapor, carbon dioxide, and carbon monoxide. So it is in many ways similar to comets we see in our solar system.
The high amounts of carbon is what will create that greenish glow that you'll want to look for in the southeast sky near the constellation Virgo.
You'll want to look for this fuzzy green-looking object. It can be seen with either a small telescope, even a really good pair of binoculars, but it will be very hard to see with an unaided eye.
While clouds will be a factor tonight, you still have a chance to see Comet 3i Atlas through spring of 2026. The best time for viewing will be about an hour or two before sunrise, but it will be worth getting up early to try to view this spectacle.
Unlike comets, which take periodic journeys through our solar system, this object will not be returning to our solar system.
Comet 3i Atlas will pass closest to Earth on December 19th, 2025, this Friday, within 167 million miles away. That is almost twice the distance between Earth to the Sun. So no threat posed to Earth, but it'll be a really cool sight to see. In Mystic, Alexis Clemens, NBC Connecticut News.
A celestial object is defying the laws of physics as it is pushing towards our planet. NASA and European agencies are on high alert. UN's International Asteroid Warning Network is closely watching. Our next story explains the 3i Atlas isn't just a comet. It's a cosmic enigma arriving today, which is December 19th. Take a look.
It's not behaving like a comet, not even close. 3i Atlas, the interstellar object hurtling towards our planet, is bending the very rules of physics. Scientists say it's accelerating, but not from solar pressure. Its course is changing, erratically, mysteriously, as if something inside it is controlling the motion. Telescopes across the world are locked on. NASA, the European Space Agency, and the UN's International Asteroid Warning Network have moved to constant monitoring. The object's green glow now burns brighter than expected, cutting through telescopic feeds like an emerald wound in the night sky. And then, the anomaly. An anti-tail, a jet of dust and gas pointing towards the sun, not away from it. Nothing in known physics explains this. Not solar wind, not rotation, not gravitational drag. Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb calls it a sign of something engineered, not random.
The object exhibited non-gravitational acceleration, meaning that it deviated from a path that is sculpted by gravity alone. And the level of deviation is such that I calculated it must have lost a significant fraction of its mass. If it's a natural comet, it should have lost somewhere between 10 and 20% of its mass, and there should be a massive cloud of gas around it.
NASA said the European Space Agency has intensified observations, pooling data from ground-based telescopes and space assets. The UN's International Asteroid Warning Network is tracking the object as a matter of protocol, not threat. Officials stress there is no danger to Earth. The closest distance remains vast. 3I Atlas is right now at 269 million kilometers away from us. Some researchers, including prominent voices in the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, argue that objects like 3I Atlas force science to keep an open mind. Not to leap to conclusions, but not to dismiss questions either. The debate is not about aliens. It is about exploring, about recognizing how little we truly know about what drifts between the stars. As 3I Atlas flashes past Earth, it will not slow down. It will not return. Whatever secrets it carries will leave with it, unless we learn to read them fast enough. For a brief moment, the universe has knocked on our door, and science is listening. Bureau Report Beyond, World is One.
Harvard professor and astrophysicist Avi Loeb joins me. Nice to see you, sir. Where is this from, if it's not from our solar system?
Well, it's from somewhere else in the Milky Way galaxy. We live in a galaxy of 100 billion stars, and who knows where it came from? We don't know how long was the journey.
Well, we didn't spot it until July. I act like I was out there spotting it, but it wasn't spotted until July. So is it because we weren't paying attention, because it's at 137,000 miles per hour or some ridiculously fast speed? Why did we just learn about it?
Oh, because objects are very faint when they are far from the sun. They are getting fainter inversely with distance to the fourth power. And this object entered the solar system, the outskirts, at 100,000 times the Earth-Sun separation 8,000 years ago, when human history started to be documented. That's when it entered the solar system. But we noticed it only this year. And it looked quite unusual in the sense that it flies through the plane of the planets around the sun. And it also has an anti-tail. Unlike the cometary tails that we are used to, there is a jet pointed towards the sun. We saw it from the start. We see it right now. And the question is, why is this jet going out to about 1 million kilometers in the direction of the sun? And it's sort of different from what we have seen before around comets.
How big is it?
We don't know exactly, but it's roughly the size of Manhattan Island. We don't have a close-up photograph of it. And of course, that would have nailed the nature of the object if we had it. You know, if we saw a rock, an iceberg, we could immediately conclude that it originated from the vicinity of a star by a natural process. If we saw, on the other hand, a spacecraft that has buttons on it, the question would have arisen as to whether we should press a button.
How long have we known that it's not going to collide with Earth?
Oh, since the beginning, it was clear that if you calculate the path of this object, it will just, as a result of the sun's gravity, get deflected a little bit by about 16 degrees, not much. And indeed, we saw that. But it has a slight correction to its course, a non-gravitational acceleration, not significant, but tomorrow it will get closest to Earth at a distance of 269 million kilometers. And the only question that remains is whether, if it's technological, whether it will release any objects that will arrive close to us. Otherwise, it may just be a very unusual rock.
Are we going to get a especially good look at it tomorrow? I mean, is it close enough so that we can get anything? I mean, what do you want to learn?
Oh, yeah, because tonight is actually a new moon. And that's an unusual coincidence. So the dark sky overhead will not be contaminated by moonlight. And there will be hundreds of observatories around the globe looking at it. I hope we will have an image from the Webb telescope. So altogether, the fun of doing science, it's like the work of a detective. The more data we have, the better. And we shouldn't assume anything and just try to explain what we see.
All right, I'll tell you what I think is odd, among other things, is it's the 3-Eye Atlas. So I looked, I thought, well, why would you name something the 3-Eye Atlas? And I looked it up and learned what. But one of the things is that the 3 comes to, it's the third confirmed interstellar object ever detected. The first one in 2017 and the second one in 2019. Well, I think, are they the only 3 ever? Have there been some before? I mean, that to me made this so unique that this is only the third.
Oh, no. These 3 were observed over the past 8 years just because we built telescopes that survey the sky and can find them, because the US Congress tasked NASA to find 90% of all objects bigger than a football field. So then they built these survey telescopes and suddenly saw objects moving very fast. That's all. Obviously, over the history of the solar system, the Earth, there were billions of those. Right now, if any rock passes within at random, within the orbit of the Earth around the Sun, there should be a quadrillion of them at the same time within the solar system, 10 to the power 15. So clearly these are not the only 3. But the question is, we don't know how much traffic of unusual objects there is. This is only our 3rd date. It's just like going on a date and, seeing your first 3, and you don't know how unusual they are. And, some people get married after the first encounter, but it's really not the best approach to interpret the nature of because there is no expert on interstellar object. We have only 3 in our sample.
We have 30 seconds left, so tell me, what's going to happen to this after it passes by tomorrow? Then what?
Then it will come closest to Jupiter on March 16, 2026, and it arrives exactly at the distance from Jupiter where Jupiter's gravity dominates over the Sun's gravity. So an interesting question is, did it target Jupiter to deploy some kind of a device there? Or maybe it's just a chance coincidence, and let's just wait and see.
Professor Avi Loeb, thank you as always.
So let's start out at space.com for our first article of the day. And this article actually came out around about an hour ago at time of recording, Friday, December the 19th, 2025. The day that 3-Eye Atlas approaches closer than it has ever approached before. And I'm not sure if or not that is an actual image or a artificial rendition of the comment, but apparently this is courtesy of NASA. And we will get into that disappearing camera or satellite shortly. But this isn't a very, very long one. This really just does highlight and point out that the interstellar comet 3-Eye Atlas made its closest approach to Earth today, December the 19th, 2025. Here's the latest news you need to know. Comet 3-Eye Atlas will approach within 168 million miles or 270 million kilometers of Earth when it makes its close flyby on December the 9th. You can watch Comet 3-Eye Atlas flyby live online in a free webcast, and you can do so. Who discovered the comet is a hyperlink there. And here it is. Earth is in the rear view mirror now for Comet 3-Eye Atlas. We're getting into the article after a couple of hyperlinks to click on for other information regarding it. But after its closest approach to our planet today, but as we say farewell to the interstellar visitor, so it's got closest and now it's going away again. I have to be honest with you, and this is the words of the author, not me. I will not miss it. Is it a spaceship? Questions that have bombarded me over the last 6 months. Most recently at a company holiday party. And this is true, it has been a lot of sort of speculation, and it has been an interesting story which I sort of have followed since it sort of, or I first come aware of it, which is around close to 5 months ago. And now, but with widespread reach of that question, is Comet 3-Eye Atlas really a spaceship? Really got us wondering, especially after NASA came out in November and straight out said no. it was a comet, but NASA never a straight answer. Have been known for some indiscretions in the past. Not to mention the fact that they've lost the technology and information of how to get man to the moon, man's greatest achievement, some may argue, and NASA have lost the ability to replicate that now antiquated technology, because it was over 50 years ago that man allegedly stepped foot on the moon. So to honour 3I Atlas's place in our collective hearts, managing editor Brett Tingley went out of his way to find what comet 3I Atlas seemed to go more viral than its predecessors. The answer, it seems, comes down to timing, and there is the story of that. But our interstellar visitor has officially passed its closest approach to Earth and is heading back out to the outer solar system and eventually beyond. On December the 19th, Comet 3I Atlas will come with about 168 miles of our planet, giving scientists a rare chance to study material from beyond our solar system before it begins its long journey back into the Milky Way. If you want to know what happens next, why this object is so special, you can read our wrap story here. A deep image there of, we can see at the top there, a deep image of the interstellar comet 3I Atlas that was captured by the Gemini multi-object spectrograph on Gemini North on Mauna Aka in Hawaii, one half of the International Gemini Observatory, partly funded by the United National Science Foundation, NSF, and operated by the NSF NORI lab. The image is credited to the International Gemini Observatory. Good morning, space fans. Interstellar comet made its closest approach moments ago, so it's already been, and it's getting further away as we speak, folks, but it come within 168 miles of our planet, and the icy visitor will now continue its journey through the outer solar system, passing Jupiter in early 2026, crossing the orbits of Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune by 2028, and then head out to interstellar space, never to return. Although it might return, you know, Halley's Comet comes around every 70 or so years. It's 76 years Halley's Comet frequents Earth's atmosphere. But as some of you may be aware, that the Comet live stream hosted by Gianluca Massi with the Virtual Telescope project has been postponed until 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time Friday night, December the 19th, 0400 hours Greenwich Meridian time on December the 20th. So you can still catch that if you want to, if you are watching this as a live premiere and not subsequently after the fact. But weather permitting, join us later today to catch a glimpse of 3I Atlas before it's gone forever. Stay tuned today as we continue to bring you the latest Comet 3I Atlas news and bid farewell to our icy visitor. So that was space.com, not really telling us much or really fueling any speculation as to either or, is it a alien or an asteroid? But we're going to go and read another article now from Sky News that come out within the last 24 hours that does suggest possibly it is an alien mothership. So this article from SkyNews.com or NewsSky.com claims alien battleship reaches closest point to Earth. A Harvard astrophysicist has sparked a furious debate by warning he cannot rule out that extraterrestrials are paying us a visit. This is from Thomas Moore, science correspondent at Sky News. Friday, 19th of December, 2025 at 0200 hours, 4 minutes past 2 a.m. in the United Kingdom. There is a video there. Maybe we'll come back and click that once we've read it. But a mysterious object that controversial scientists claim could be an alien battleship reached its closest point to Earth on Friday. The object, known as 3I Atlas, passed by at 130,000 miles per hour at a distance of 170 million miles, roughly twice as far away as the Sun. While there is a near consensus among astronomers that the object is a comet from outside of our solar system, a Harvard University astrophysicist has sparked a furious debate by warning he cannot rule out that the extraterrestrials are not paying us a visit. There's another image there of the object. I believe so. It's a picture from Satoru Murata. But Professor Avi Loeb told Sky News that humanity should be on high alert for what may be a black swan event, something that is highly unlikely but has high consequences and might have been foreseen. Alien technology is a potential threat when you go on a blind date of interstellar proportions. You never know whether you have a friendly visitor as your dating partner or a serial killer, he said. There is a video we're probably going to come around to watch not long after this. But when there are implications to society, we must consider even an unlikely event and collect as much data as possible to convince us otherwise. And I agree that is very, very, very smart advice. And something I try to do with my videos is provide as much information, as much data as possible to sort of come to what possible conclusion we find is the most convincing or believable. And sometimes I guess we do have a little bit of bias due to certain belief systems about certain things and goings on in the world that lead us to come to some of our conclusions with some of our research. But as I said, that is very smart things to do. We can't rule anything else until we've considered all of the options. You can't rule options out unless you've considered them. But Professor Loeb said images of the object shows that it has an unusual tail that could come from a propulsion system. Nickel in its gas could cloud could be evidence of metal mining on its surface, and its trajectory aligned with the orbits of planets in our solar system was too unlikely to be by chance. There's another video there you can click on, rare comet or alien battleship flying near Earth. NASA reveals findings. We know NASA has findings revealed a 3-eye atlas to be nothing more than a harmless comet, but it was first spotted in July as a distant dot of light against a starry canvas of the cosmos, and it was early August of 2025 that I uploaded that first video on my other channel, NoOneWatchesArDee. Is it a hostile alien threat, or was it a hostile alien threat? And here we are just before Christmas, and it has in fact passed us by and is heading away from Earth now, but it is the day that it did reach its closest point to Earth on its celestial voyage. But it has moved rapidly through the solar system, passing Mars in early October, disappearing briefly behind the Sun, and after coming close to Earth's orbit, it flew by Jupiter before fading from view again. The United States and European space agencies have trained cameras from a dozen spacecraft on the object, and they say there is no doubt its origins are completely natural. And that is, no, it isn't. There is more. Sometimes these articles and the way they're written make you sort of think you got to the end when really you haven't. But scientists estimate that the comet is around 8 billion years old, twice the age of our sun and our solar system, and it is a cosmic fossil left over from the formation of an unknown star in the galaxy. Professor Chris Lintott, an astronomer from the University of Oxford, told Sky News that there is nothing sinister about the object. It's just nonsense, he said. It's like saying we should consider the possibility that the moon's made of cheese. You could consider that possibility if you like. I mean, that's what you expect from someone from Oxford. They're fucking pieces of shit people that live in that city. But you could consider that possibility if you like. But my first question is, why would you think that? He said that the comet's changing colour and brightness can be explained by the sun heating pockets of ice and different materials that it's picked up on its epic journey through the stars. There's nothing this thing has done that we haven't seen elsewhere, he said. But Professor Loeb has accused other scientists of closing their minds to alternative alternative explanations. And again, something we like to do here at NoOneWatchesArDee and other ship video production channels is to explore avenues of alternative possibility. For what they are seeing is what Professor Loeb advises in I do take your advice, Professor Loeb, probably before you gave it actually, but nevertheless, at the foundation of science is the humility to learn. Sorry, let me read that again. I made a hash of it. At the foundation of science is the humility to learn, he said. It's not the arrogance of expertise, and what you see very often is experts tell you what something should be and demonstrate by that the arrogance of their expertise. They are not willing to learn something new. And I like this Professor Loeb character, even though there's a very good chance in every likelihood that he is a shill and on the payroll and is providing the official counter narrative for this 3i Atlas saga. But Professor Loeb made similar claims about a possible alien craft over Oumuamua, another interstellar comet to pass through our solar system back in 2017. Professor Lintott said, "Wild theories that have no evidence can be dangerous. I'm baffled as to why Avi has latched onto this," he said. "We can look for the signs of intelligence in the cosmos. I'm very sympathetic to that idea. But you start looking at the things that are odd, and this thing is not odd." Although Avi does think it is odd. And that is, in fact, the end of that article. So let's go and watch a video about Avi Loeb, and then we're going to come in find out a little bit about that lost NASA satellite and the European Space Agency's asteroid redirect exercise.
So the object is now approaching its closest point to Earth. What do you see as the threat?
Oh, I don't see a threat. I think it's most likely a natural object, but I do believe that we need to monitor it and verify that it doesn't release any objects that come close to planets, just to be sure that it's not a black swan event. The reason I was considering this possibility is because it came in the plane of the planets around the sun within 5 degrees, also has an unusually large size and mass relative to the previous interstellar objects, and it sheds nickel with very little iron. That's a feature of industrially produced nickel alloys, and it shows an anti-tail and a jet pointing towards the sun. That was true since the beginning, since July when it was discovered, and it's still true now with the latest Hubble image and the most recent amateur images that were obtained in recent days.
So unusual characteristics and an improbable trajectory, you would say, and that gives you that pause for thought that maybe this might not be a natural object.
Yeah, I think it's the responsibility of scientists to consider that possibility, unlike their practice under normal circumstances, because we have a visitor to our backyard and the visitor might show up at our front door. That means we need to monitor it to make sure it's a street cat that is not very dangerous. When there are implications to society, we must consider even an unlikely event and collect as much data as possible to convince us otherwise.
So in your worst case scenario, what is the threat at the end of this week?
Oh, alien technology is a potential threat because when you go on a blind date of interstellar proportions, you never know whether you have a friendly visitor as your dating partner, or it may be also a serial killer. And the only way to find out is to observe the other side. That's my advice to people who go on blind dates.
So you feel that this could be part of an alien invasion?
Not an invasion. I don't think we are that important. The human species came to exist only on the past few million years, which is just one part in 1,000 of the age of the solar system, not to speak about the age of the universe, which is 13.8 billion years. And so we are not that significant. We tend to think, first we thought that we are at the center of the universe. Now we still think that if there will be a visit, it will be about us, but it may be about the most massive planet in the solar system, Jupiter, for example, or it may be for a completely different reason that has nothing to do with us. I think we should forget about the idea that, you know, there is a cosmic party going on. We are arriving late to that party, and nobody would ask us to dance.
So maybe Jupiter that they're interested in, you're saying, that they're looking perhaps for a new home, a second home for their species, or?
Well, it's difficult to imagine what they might be after, because the journey would take billions of years from one side of the Milky Way galaxy to the other. And over such timescales, the agenda of any intelligent species will be very different than ours. We haven't embarked out of the Oort cloud of the solar system as of yet. And once we decide to do so, our motivation will be very different than what we do here on Earth, because we might want to leave a monument that would testify that we existed. Perhaps we might want to have self-replicating probes, just like biological systems that produce things that we would like to establish in distant places. It's really difficult for me to forecast. I think nature is far more imaginative than script writers in Hollywood.
But it's hard to imagine a spaceship going past at whatever it is, well over 100,000 miles an hour, that it can actually gain any useful information on its as it passes through our solar system.
No, I don't think a goal of such a visit would be to gain information, because if it came from a star that is on the other side of the Milky Way galaxy, it would take tens of thousands of years for the signal to reach them at the speed of light. And so obviously, any such sender would not expect to benefit from the information and respond to it in real time. The way to think of it is like sending your kids out of home. You don't expect them to call you all the time. Every now and then you might get a postcard, but the main purpose of making those children is so that your DNA will have some longevity, so that your ambitions may get fulfilled by the next generation. And so, it's not about relaying information about our whereabouts. They're not spying on us. I think they have their own objectives if they come to visit us.
Why do you think it is that other astronomers have looked at the same information and they are adamant that this is a comet? In the words of NASA, it looks like a comet, it behaves like a comet, it is a comet.
You just look at artificial intelligence systems and you realize that they're as good as their training data set. And so what these experts are talking about is a reflection of their training data set, which is icy rocks. And I'm just begging them to expand their training data set, because NASA itself launched equipment to space. So we know it's not all about rocks out there. And it's very arrogant of us to assume that Elon Musk is the most accomplished space entrepreneur since the Big Bang. I think there could have been many more accomplished technological civilizations. You might say these are our siblings in the family of intelligent civilizations out there that accomplished much more than we did, simply because we had only 100 years of modern science and technology, and they may have benefited from millions or billions of years. So for us to say everything in the sky must be icy rocks just because these objects shed some dust and gas is really inappropriate. You shouldn't judge a book by its cover. This dust and gas could have been collected in a journey through some dense clouds. We don't know what the nature of the object is until we gather enough information on it. And we should be open-minded to that possibility, because it will potentially bring us to a better place. We might change our priorities, and instead of investing $2.4 trillion worldwide every year on either killing other people or protecting ourselves from others killing us, these are military budgets, we might allocate a fraction of that to space exploration. I can imagine that when alien technology is recognized, we will decide to put a warning system, and that could cost $1 trillion a year. And with that kind of money, we will know much more about our cosmic environment.
But from what you're saying, you are 99% sure, more than 99% sure, that this is actually some kind of comet. It's just that small element of doubt which you keep in your mind.
Yeah, I don't quantify it at 99. I actually defined a scale, a classification scale, which is called the Loeb scale now in several scientific papers. where a 0 means a natural object, a 10 means a technological visitor of potential threat to humanity. And initially, I thought this object ranks 3 to 4 on that scale, but I'm just waiting for the coming data, and then I will be able to assess more clearly whether it's a 0 or a higher number. We have a very small sample of interstellar objects from outside the solar system, only 3 of them, and it's just like a dating experience. There are some people that on their first date decide to marry the dating partner. That's not a good practice to jump into the conclusion that this particular dating partner is exceptional because you don't have a good statistical sample. And so the more interstellar visitors we get to observe, the easier it will be for us to assess whether one of them is an outlier and therefore deserves a lot of attention. And my hope is that in the coming decade, we'll have many more examples, especially from the Rubin Observatory in Chile, that is using a 3.2 gigapixel camera and surveys the southern sky every 4 nights. We need a copy of that observatory in the northern sky so that we can monitor the entire sky. But once we find the clear evidence for alien technology, and I think that requires the astronomers to be more open-minded. Because I can give you an example. On January 2nd, there was a near-Earth asteroid identified and cataloged by the Minor Planet Center, and then within a day, it was realized that this object is moving along the path of the Tesla Roadster car that was launched by SpaceX in 2018. And so immediately the astronomers confessed, oh no, this is not a rock, it's a car. And the only reason they knew that is because this object was launched by humans. However, it would be difficult for astronomers to admit that an object is a car and not a rock if they didn't know in advance the trajectory of that one. But once we collect enough data, and once we are open-minded to collect the data, because if we are not open-minded, we will assume that we know the answer without seeking the evidence to support it. That's really the risk. But once we have evidence beyond reasonable doubt, we have, for example, high-resolution image of the object that doesn't look like a rock. At that point, I think everything will change. It will affect geopolitics on Earth because citizens will not feel that they are protected by their governments until we put some interceptors in the outskirts of the solar system to basically give us more information about incoming threats. It will affect, of course, the stock market, the financial markets, because our economies will reflect the sense of uncertainty about our future. And it will also affect religious and philosophical beliefs about our place in the universe, because God, at that point, that is not a parent that has only a single child. Okay, so once we realize that we have siblings, and by the way, it doesn't take away any of the credit you might want to give to God, especially if God can attend to multiple kids, that makes God far more powerful. But my point is that some of these siblings that we have in our family might be more accomplished than we are. So we might feel a sense of jealousy.
I think many astronomers would agree that there is other life out there in the universe, and that it may well be intelligent life. I think where perhaps you become a lone voice or a near lone voice is to think that what we're seeing now is potentially an alien battleship when evidence points the other way, that this is a natural object.
No, well, when you say evidence, when people say it behaves like a comet, what they mean is that we see a cloud of dust and gas around it. Now, imagine seeing a cloud of dust at a distance and claiming that it must be a horse because a horse is a natural object that produces dust when it runs. And then I tell you, no, it's actually a car that made this dust. Just looking at the dust cloud does not tell you anything about the object itself. I mean, obviously, experts have their confidence, but my point about science is as follows. The foundation of science is the humility to learn. It's not the arrogance of expertise. And what you see very often is experts tell you what something should be and demonstrate by that the arrogance of their expertise. They are not willing to learn something new.
Well, that it comes from a different a different star system with perhaps different compositions, perhaps. That's what astronomers would say. Isn't there a danger, though, that you're selecting evidence to shape a narrative? And that is how conspiracy theories start.
It has nothing to do with conspiracy theory, because I'm advocating the collection of as much data as possible. In fact, the real risk for science is from experts telling us the answer without checking the answer by empirical data. It reminds me always of the Vatican not willing to look through Galileo's telescope because they knew the answer. And so the risk is really from us not collecting enough data to test our assumptions. So my approach is basically trying to get as much data as possible to educate us, because nature's imagination is often more expansive than ours.
So finally then, is this an unwanted gift for the holiday season?
I don't think so. For me, it's a very wanted gift, because frankly, when I read the news every day, and that's what everyone wants you to do, just focus on matters down to earth, I get very depressed. And frankly, one reason that I'm seeking a higher intelligence in outer space is because I don't often find it here on Earth.
$1 billion eye in the sky has just blinked.
Well, moments after capturing a close-range look at an interstellar intruder, the 3i Atlas, NASA's MAVEN probe, has gone silent. Is this a mechanical failure, or is it something to do with the deep space visitor, which is suspected to be operated by alien tech? Take a look at this next report to find out.
Something very strange is happening as the interstellar object, the 3i Atlas, is nearing the Earth. This time NASA is scrambling for answers. NASA's MAVEN spacecraft, orbiting Mars for more than a decade, had just done something extraordinary. It captured these images of 3i Atlas, the mysterious object slicing through our solar system at blistering speed. Then, without warning, MAVEN stopped talking. The last transmission arrived on schedule. MAVEN's instruments functioning normally, systems green. Then the orbiter slipped behind Mars on December 4th. A routine movement, expected blackout. 37 minutes of radio darkness as the red planet blocked Earth's view. When the spacecraft emerged from Mars's shadow and nothing came back. No signal, just silence across tens of millions of kilometers. While space probes can malfunction, but here the timing is interesting. Days earlier, MAVEN had turned its instruments toward a once-in-a-lifetime target, 3i Atlas, only the third confirmed interstellar object ever seen sweeping through our neighborhood. Science. From Mars orbit, it snapped images of the comet as it tore past at over 240,000 kilometers per hour. The coincidence is jarring. 3i Atlas is an object from beyond our star system, behaving with a chemical intensity that has already baffled astronomers. As the visitor nears Earth, MAVEN was supposed to be zoom in, but that camera has now gone silent. NASA engineers are working around the clock. Is it a software glitch triggered by the comet's unique radiation? Or did the interstellar visitor contain particles that affected MAVEN's sensitive sensors? Speculation is reaching fever pitch within the scientific community. 3i Atlas continues its journey towards its closest approach to Earth on December 19th. Spacecrafts and telescopes from Hawaii to India are tacking its approach.
So here at thedailymail.co.uk, mystery as a NASA probe goes dark after close encounter with interstellar visitor nearing Earth. There are 5 pictures to look at in the gallery, which we're not going to, and this come out on 22nd of, no it didn't, it come out on the 16th of December 2025 at at 2200 hours and 2 minutes. 2 minutes past 10 for those of you who don't know how to use military time. It was updated 5 minutes later at, on the same day. So there you go. Forget about that. Nothing important there. But NASA has revealed a shocking new details after losing contact with a Mars space probe nearly 2 weeks after its close encounter with an interstellar object 3I Atlas. On Monday of this week, the space agency said that the Maven spacecraft went dark on December the 4th while it was observing a mysterious visitor. NASA has declared a comet. That NASA has declared a comet, and obviously that is 3I Atlas. Maven has been orbiting Mars since 2014 and has served as a communications relay for man-made rovers exploring the Martian surface. According to the American Space Agency, the probe moved behind Mars while tracking the interstellar object, then suddenly stopped transmitting and started rotating in an unusual manner as it re-emerged within the view of Earth. NASA said it appeared whatever happened to Maven on the far side of the planet has also caused the probe's orbit around Mars to change as well. Mysterious stuff. I wonder what on earth could have caused those malfunctions to Maven. But however, without direct data from the spacecraft, NASA doesn't have a straight answer to give us, has been forced to analyze fragments of tracking information to figure out what's gone wrong. They won't know for sure how Maven's orbit has changed until it starts transmitting again. Maven was only, go away, I don't want to swipe for the next story, forgive that intrusive pop-up, guys, I cannot get rid of it. Actually, can I? Yes, there it goes, I just had to click the got it section. But Maven was only 18 million miles away from the 3I Atlas in October when it reportedly took a collection of photographs as the supposed comet or possible alien mothership passed by the red planet. Images which draw widespread criticism of their poor quality. The moon landing was a little bit clearer than that, but then that's maybe because it could have probably been shot in a sound studio and used actors and cables to simulate gravitational pulls. But nevertheless, while the NASA spacecraft has dealt with minor technical issues in the past, this is the first time in a decade that something may have actually knocked the probe offline and disrupted its orbit. There's an extremely convincing picture of the Maven spacecraft. That looks 100% real and not like anything AI has the capability of replicating. There are some, again, of the images that supposedly Maven took. Can we click on them? We sort of can, but it's disrupted, and now we've been redirected away from that article. What the hell is going on with Google? They sometimes do little things to prevent me, I'm sure, from completing my tasks on time. But that actually was the end of the article. So there it is. It exhibits some unique features, including an anti-tail, extreme color changes, and an extremely unusual course and a massive coma. I was dead for 105 minutes and learned how to get into heaven. Some of you watching might be interested in that. Interesting enough, not something I'm willing to click on and read, although there is a little bit of me that is curious to read it just for that sort of train wreck purposes. But there we go. That was an article from the Daily Mail about that NASA probe going dark after its close encounter with that interstellar visitor known as 3I Atlas. And we had previously saw a video from an Indian news agency are also reporting on this issue. So let's go and look at this training exercise that the European Space Agency is conducting. Here we are at golfnews.com, and the headline reads, "The United Nations launches a planetary defense exercising using interstellar comet 3I Atlas. Global Network tracks 3i Atlas in a live test of Earth's readiness for cosmic hazards. An artist's rendition of a Comet 3i Atlas as it rockets through space there for your enjoyment. The interstellar Comet 3i Atlas, the third known object ever confirmed to come from outside of our solar system, has been formally designated the subject of a global planetary defense exercise by the International Asteroid Warning Network, IAWN, operating under the auspices of the United Nations Office for Outer Space Affairs, UNOOSA. The new campaign, which began on November 27th, 2025 and runs through till January 2027, coincidentally enough, it was running in conjunction with the arrival of 3i Atlas coming as close to Earth as it ever has done, and is now on its way away from our solar system, although it will still be in our solar system for a few years. This campaign, or this campaign and this testing, runs from November 27th, so it's already begun, and it will run right through until the end of January 27th at 2026. It is not a response to any known threat. Of course it isn't. 3i Atlas may pose, but it is saying that 3i Atlas poses no danger to Earth. Instead, it is a coordinated observational exercise aimed at testing the world's readiness to detect, track, and analyze near-Earth and interstellar objects using 3i Atlas as a live test case. When I tell you guys, sometimes drills go live. Why 3i Atlas is being used as a test, discovered on the 1st of July 2025 by the Atlas telescope in Chile. 3i Atlas was confirmed as an interstellar object later that month, and its hyperbolic orbit, unique among known cometary or asteroid bodies, confirms that it originates outside of the solar system. Since its discovery, global space agencies and observatories have mounted an unprecedented observational campaign. Why is that exactly? Do they have some sort of information that hasn't been shared with the public about 3i Atlas, or is it they're just really very, very curious about it? As I said, it's only the third time an object from outside of our solar system has been observed within our solar system, so I can imagine there is a little bit of hype within that sort of space watching community. But over a dozen NASA spacecraft and telescopes, including orbiters at Mars and instruments at Earth, have captured imagery and data as the comet passed through the inner solar system. In late 2025, even the European Space Agency, ESA, used data from Mars orbiters to refine the comet's predicted path significantly, improving trajectory estimated by a factor of 10. Scientists argue because 3i Atlas is interstellar, its composition and behavior may differ from comets formed in our own solar system, offering a unique window into other star systems studying. Its activity could help calibrate detection methods for future interstellar visitors, potentially enhancing Earth's early warning capabilities for hazardous objects. Global coordination. This is the 8th global observing exercise event by ION since its inception in 2017. Such drills are held roughly once a year to test and improve the planetary defense network's readiness. 3i Atlas was chosen because it's an interstellar object, and it's because of its interstellar origin and its observable trajectory, presented an ideal and realistic test case. Was it a test or is it real? Is it heading away from our Earth because the exercise worked? I don't know, guys. I'm just oh goodness, why can't I say that word? I'm just presenting a hypothetical situation, an alternative avenue of exploration. But the agency statements clarify that the drill is about refining the direction, tracking, and characterization processes rather than reacting to a specific threat. That's what they say. Astronomers hope that data collected will improve models of how comets, especially those from outside our solar system, behave. This could improve predictions for future interstellar objects of near-Earth objects that may pose a risk. What scientists have observed so far, observations made by the ESA, NASA and other global observatories have already offered detailed insight into 3I Atlas's trajectory, composition and behavior. The European Space Agency's use of Mars orbiting spacecraft data has refined orbital predictions. Spacecraft across the solar system, including some orbiting Mars, captured imagery of 3I Atlas as it passed within 30 million miles of the red planet. Background observations in space spectroscopy suggest that the comet may contain volatile ices and dust typical of cometary bodies, allowing scientists to compare its makeup against those formed around the Sun. As the comet continues its journey outward, findings from this campaign are expected to inform future efforts to monitor, catalogue and respond to interstellar and near-Earth objects. The consensus among official space agency is that 3I Atlas poses no threat, but as a rare interstellar visitor, it provides a real-world opportunity to strengthen global cosmic hazard readiness. And that was that article from the Gulf News about the United Nations. Now, I do have one somewhere, if I can find it. It seems to have disappeared among my tabs that will come out a couple of weeks ago about the European Space Agency launching a Earth or planetary defense exercise. If I can't find it, never mind. But if we can, that's what's next. Now, although I could not find the article that I had intended and planned to feature in this presentation, 3I Atlas, Alien or Asteroid, I did find this very interesting article coming out of the Times of Israel, which some of you may frown on, but nonetheless it's some very interesting information contained within this, or at least I find it very interesting. And it says 3I Atlas and NASA, 3I Atlas and NASA, did the world just complete a planetary defense exercise, November the 18th, 2025 at 5:58 p.m. We could listen to this article if we so wanted to. It's about 5 minutes long, so let's see if we can do that.
3I Atlas and NASA, did the world just complete a planetary defense exercise? By Rafi Glick, and why the European publication forced NASA to respond. In recent days, major international science and news outlets have shifted the way they describe the interstellar object 3I Atlas. Leading publications, including BBC Sky at Night, Newsweek and others, now refer to it as a planetary defense test case. At the same time, the European Space Agency, ESA, quietly released an official statement, almost in passing, noting that the monitoring of 3I Atlas served as a rehearsal for planetary defense. A small sentence with significant implications. Based on known patterns of cooperation among global space agencies, ESA's wording strongly suggests that the exercise was still active and that most participating agencies remained under communication restrictions. This may explain NASA's prolonged silence in recent weeks, the absence of a UN-affiliated report, the visible confusion in Israel, India, and China, the limited scientific data available until now, and the unusually cautious and minimalistic tone of ESA's announcement. When ESA uses the term rehearsal for planetary defense, it automatically activates two international bodies, IAWN, International Asteroid Warning Network, SMPAG, Space Mission Planning Advisory Group. Both operate under UNOSA, United Nations Office for Outer Space Affairs. Such frameworks require coordinated decision-making, unified messaging, strict communication discipline, and clear separation between operational agencies and the scientific community. United States, NASA, JPL, U.S. Space Force, NRO, Deep Space Monitoring plus official planetary defense mandate. Europe ESA led the first public disclosure, coordinated Mars-based data. Japan JAXA, Subaru Telescope and Advanced Space Situational Awareness Systems. India ISRO, DSN infrastructure, partial awareness, but public statements were restricted. United Arab Emirates, MBRSC Hope Mars Orbiter, full technical partner, aligned with both NASA and ESA. China, CNSA. Independent tracking, scheduled a public release for 19 December, timing that strongly implies international coordination. Russia, Roscosmos/KKP, official member of IAW and SMPAC, critical deep space tracking capabilities. Israel, not a formal IAWN member, but recognized as a cooperating state with SSA capabilities and established information channels with the U.S., therefore likely receiving filtered data as part of the coordinated effort. Around 20 September, as 3I Atlas neared its closest approach to Mars, approximately 29 million kilometers, a broad, multinational monitoring effort began. It was a rare event, an interstellar object passing close to a planet surrounded by active research spacecraft. During those days, NASA and ESA announced that they would redirect cameras, telescopes, and orbital ground-based instruments toward the object to maximize the observation window. According to our assessment, additional planetary defense actors also joined, each through their own detection and tracking systems. Based on long-established coordination patterns between NASA and ESA, when a central partner breaks partial silence during an active exercise, the other partners must respond quickly to maintain aligned public messaging. Meaning, ESA cracked the communication silence carefully. The exercise likely had not yet concluded. NASA was required to issue a complementary statement. Otherwise, a public perception of information gaps or concealment could emerge. This is standard behavior in sensitive multinational rehearsals. In every UNOSA coordinated exercise, space agencies receive priority access. Military space systems release data to scientists only after an initial monitoring phase. Mars-based data is limited during active operations. China and the US never share real-time intelligence. The scientific community receives information only when a segment of the exercise concludes. This explains why the scientific awakening around Atlas began only this week. India appeared to be in a state of controlled pressure, aware of participation, but without public authorization to confirm it. China, the planned 19th December release indicates a clearly coordinated international timetable, because according to our assessment, the exercise may still be ongoing. When such scenarios are active, UNOSA does not publish, NASA avoids full disclosure, ESA releases only minimal phrasing, Russia and China remain silent, India stays in a gray zone, Israel receives information but does not comment. And scientists wait for the system to exit locked phase. A formal report will come only after complete mission debriefing. 3I Atlas is no longer just an interstellar object. It has become the trigger for what appears to be the largest planetary defense rehearsal ever conducted, and it may still be underway. NASA's press conference, scheduled for Wednesday, dedicated to the data collected during the U.S. government funding freeze, may shed light on whether 3I Atlas was indeed part of this global exercise. The world is waiting for the official report.
So that was interesting.
We hope you enjoyed that. Here's another related audio.
Sorry about that.
Europe moves as the world's...
Sorry about that. Difficulties with the the audio player within this. So there was a very interesting article, as I said, from the Times of Atlas, Times of Israel, stating, did we just experience a coordinated global Earth defense exercise? And the fact that some of these agencies are supposed to be sort of tight-lipped until the conclusion of the exercise might be explained as to why I couldn't find that article, that I was spending far longer and getting extremely frustrated that I couldn't find it. So maybe that was why it has been removed from the internet, because it wasn't supposed to be leaked. Why didn't I record it when I had it in my hands and at my disposal? And I'm probably going to go and try and find it again, just out of my own obsessions, because it's driving me a little bit frantic. But never mind, that is where we will sort of leave it for the articles for today. As I said, I did want to make just a little bit of a quick video regarding 3I Atlas and upload it on the day that it was scheduled to be closest to Earth, which is today at time of recording. Hopefully you are watching this on the 19th of December 2025, the day that 3I Atlas was as close as possible. Now, it doesn't really give us any definitive answers or conclusion. Is it an asteroid or is it a alien mothership? Although many of the organizations, official space agencies are claiming that it is a harmless cosmic object, an asteroid, a meteorite, whatever you like there, nothing to be of concern about, but it is this Avi Loeb. It is a sort of a lone voice among the scientists that is piping up and shouting very loudly that, you know what, this could be something a lot more than just an asteroid. Why are you refusing to acknowledge that fact? So again, guys, make of it what you will. What do you think 3I Atlas is? Is it an asteroid? Is it an alien? Is it just a psyop, or is it nothing of any concern to you personally? But it is very, very interesting to me, because exercises in the past have been ways to sort of cover up certain nefarious goings on, or sometimes, as we know, exercises do indeed go live. So let's go head back to the virtual basement to wrap things up for this particular episode and commence with the outro pleasantries. So there you have it, folks. That concludes yet another installment of Unwatchable Content, and this time it was all about 3I Atlas, asteroid or alien. And although we weren't provided with any conclusive answers as to what 3I Atlas exactly is, we can still only speculate and maybe soothe our own personal beliefs by choosing what we want it to be. And if or not we will be seeing or hearing anything again of 3I Atlas in the future will remain to be seen, although I do suspect there will be a few words or two to be spoken of it before we've finally heard the end of 3I Atlas. But we did reveal within this presentation this evening that the largest ever global Earth planetary defense exercise using a whole host of space agencies was conducted without the world knowing, and this revelation has only just sort of come out within the last sort of few days. And if or not it was an exercise or a real life event, who knows? And when it comes to things in outer space, we're never, ever, ever, ever going to be given the truth or ever truly know for ourselves. We have to take the word of outer planetary events to those that provide us with information. And that is a little bit of noise pollution provided by my cat knocking something off of a work top. But as I say, guys, we'll never ever truly know the secrets of space. We'll probably never ever find out, or maybe we will find out exactly what 3I Atlas exactly is or was, or if or not we will be seeing it again. And this exercise is ongoing. It is going to be going through to the 27th of January, which is quite a long time. It's running for about just over 2 months, I believe, around about 60 days. So there's going to be a lot going on for this exercise, and once the exercise is concluded, we may hear what actually went on there. So I don't know. It's hard to say, hard to call. It's been an interesting story since it first launched back in July of this year, 2025, and over those months there's been an awful lot of speculation as to what it could be, and it's also been sort of some of the extraterrestrial speculation has also been fueled by other stories going on in the world, where we've had recent even more whistleblowers coming forward, people that have worked within high positions within government agencies in the United States coming forward and confessing that they've witnessed and experienced and seen extraterrestrial technology and extraterrestrial beings. We've heard that the Supreme Court has validated these whistleblowers and confirmed what they are telling us is true. Disclosure is literally you know, it could very well be a matter of days, weeks, possibly months away. We've even had like the Secretary of State, you know, Donald Trump's second in command. What's his name, Loeb or something? Or was that the guy that I'm thinking of? But the Secretary of State is also, he's been like the highest ranking government official so far to sort of confirm these claims that there is alien technology contained within certain facilities in the United States and certain agencies and individuals within the governmental system in the United States have access to these beings and technology. So, you know, we are in an age where we pretty much have been told that there is extraterrestrial life, although we've had no official word or confirmation of it. There is some speculation that Donald Trump is in the process of being briefed about how to go about this, and is there anything you know, that we're going to hear, is anything to do with 3i Atlas involved in this alien agenda that is ongoing. So we are going to wrap it up, folks. There's not an awful lot more I can say today. I did, as I said at the start of this video, want to put something out on the 19th of December, the day that 3i Atlas was closest to Earth, just because it was a story I started following back in late July, early August of this year, and sort of provided an update or two on the ongoing story, as it's something that is of interest of me ever since I was a very, very young boy. You know, I had fantasies and dreams of owning an extraterrestrial all of my own, just like Elliot from E.T., and you know, I always wanted to live with Alf. I thought he would be the most excellent roommate you could possibly have, and you know, I can sort of blame Steven Spielberg in the movies such as E.T., Close Encounters of the Third Kind, that I watched at a very, very young age. It sort of influenced me and introduced me to the world of government cover-ups, and also probably led me to discovering and exploring all sorts of alternative avenues of exploration that has led me to discover a whole host of weird and not so wonderful things within the realms of what is considered conspiracy, and provided a whole host of information, facts, patents, government PDFs, such forth, to support many of the claims that go along with these conspiracy theories. But for today, folks, we are going to wrap it up. That's enough about 3i Atlas. As always, I'd love to hear what you have to say with your contextual comments. Pipe up in live chat if you are watching along this evening as part of the live premiere event. If you are watching subsequently, please leave a comment below. It's always nice to get comments and feedback from the few viewers that do watch this channel. But that is it for now, folks. All that is left and remains to be said is be excellent to each other. May the force be with us all, and until next time, take care. This is ArDee signing out for now.
Sit, Ubu, sit. Good dog.
Be excellent to each other. Party on, dudes!
Hey, Luke. May the force be with you.
All right. Take care now. Bye-bye then.